बुरे दिन गए कि नहीं गए, बुरे काम बंद हुए कि नहीं हुए.
The top story tonight, Prime Minister Modi kicks off anniversary celebrations with a mega rally in Mathura, says acche din are finally here. A Network 18 opinion poll shows that 74% of the respondents are satisfied with the government's performance in the first year. But all is not rosy. A survey conducted by the National Council of Applied Economic Research shows business confidence has fallen sharply in the first 3 months of this year. Services and capital goods sectors are the worst hit.
Modi 2015 has less support than Modi 2014.
The Modi wave is ebbing after 1 year, says former Finance Minister and Congress leader P. Chidambaram. Says Congress is not being obstructionist in Parliament. Also says that the government is unable to read the worrying signs surrounding the economy. It's a tepid start to expiry week on Dalal Street. The Sensex sheds over 300 points and the Nifty tumbles below the 8,400 mark as weak corporate earnings hurt sentiment. Mid-caps show some resilience. Vodafone revised plans to list its India business. NM Rothschild will work on the IPO contours. The company plans to raise $3 to $4 billion and a valuation of $30 billion. The IPO could be completed by the end of this fiscal. That's an exclusive.
We expect a growth of 14 to 15%.
Languishing in single digits, Finance Minister hopes direct tax growth rate for FY16 will be healthy at around 14 to 15%. Also defends the black money bill, says honest taxpayers have nothing to worry about. A shot in the arm for Arvind Kejriwal as he completes 100 days in office as the Chief Minister of Delhi. The Delhi High Court asked the Lieutenant Governor to respect people's mandate and act on the aid and advise of the Council of Ministers. The searing heat wave claims 500 lives across India. Andhra Pradesh and Telangana are the worst affected. The mercury touches nearly 48 degrees in Allahabad and other parts of Uttar Pradesh.
Government is making a lot of positive changes, which are certainly good for the economy long term.
On the hour, Uday Kotak of Kotak Mahindra Bank waves a thumbs up to the Modi government and the Reserve Bank of India. Says Indian economy is poised for takeoff. That's a CNBC exclusive.
Bengal, Assam, Tripura and Bihar, Maharashtra and Uttar Pradesh.
India's largest microfinance institution, Bandhan, is all set to start banking operations. Bets big on West Bengal, Maharashtra and Uttar Pradesh to begin with. And girls trump boys once again as CBSE announces the Standard 12 board results. Trivandrum clocks the highest pass percentage. M. Gayatri from New Delhi tops with 99.2%.
Long way up in the air. In blue, the Mumbai Indians. They win by 41 runs and are champions of IPL 2015. And now I'd like the Mumbai Indians players to join the captain on the stage to start their celebrations.
Mumbai Indians, Mumbai Indians, Mumbai Indians, run lagayenge, Mumbai Indians, jaan lagayenge, Mumbai Indians, jalwa dikha denge hum.
Well, it's the stuff that fairy tales are made of, and Mumbai is rejoicing. Mumbai Indians were languishing at the bottom of the IPL midway through the tournament, and then skipper Rohit Sharma led the revival from the front with support from old war horses like Harbhajan Singh and, of course, Malinga. Today, the team is celebrating their second IPL title win at the Brabant Stadium in the city. Good evening, and thanks for joining us on India Business Hour. I'm Surabhi Upadhyay. Let's start with the market action first up. Well, corporate earnings have brought little cheer to Dalal Street over the last couple of sessions, and that has put bears in pole position on the street. It was a tepid start to the expiry week with blue chip stocks feeling the brunt. The Sensex lost over 300 points to slip further away from the 28,000 mark. The Nifty fell below 8,400, losing over 1% as well. Midcap showed a little more resilience, with that index actually holding its head just above water, ending with marginal gains. Well, from the equity space, let's move on to the currency markets. It's been a relatively flat close for the Indian rupee. This despite the US dollar gaining strength against almost all other global currencies. Sustained dollar demand from banks and exporters meant that the rupee ended 4 paise lower to Friday's closing level. This despite posting some recovery in the later half of trade. All right, the top story tonight, the acche din, I promised, are here now. That's the message coming in from none other than a triumphant Prime Minister on the eve of the government's one-year anniversary. In a move laden with symbolism, Modi addressed a mega rally in Mathura, the birthplace of Jan Sangh leader Deen Dayal Upadhyay. This is the first of the 200 rallies that will be addressed by BJP leaders in the coming days. Launching a scathing attack on the Congress, Prime Minister Modi said the days of scams and gloom are behind us. The Prime Minister spent most of the speech to list out the pro-farmer and agri reforms which have been undertaken by the government. He also positioned the government as pro-poor, calling himself a soldier who is fighting poverty.
मिल बैठ करके रास्ते ढूंढ रहे हैं कि हमारा किसान आजादी के 60 साल के बाद परेशान क्यों है। भाइयों बहनों, किसान मेहनत करना जानता है, उसे अवसर मिलना चाहिए। आज उसकी जमीन पूरी तरह नष्ट होती चली जा रही है। सॉइल हेल्थ कार्ड और सॉइल हेल्थ कार्ड के द्वारा हमने कहा किसान को कि आने वाले 3 साल में हिंदुस्तान के हर एक किसान के हाथ में सॉइल हेल्थ कार्ड होगा। उसकी जमीन की तबीयत कैसी है, मैंने बीड़ा उठाया है हिंदुस्तान के किसानों की जमीन की तबीयत का हाल पूछने का। मैंने बीड़ा उठाया है हिंदुस्तान के किसानों की जमीन की तबीयत को ठीक करने का। और एक बार जमीन की तबीयत ठीक हो, किसान को पानी चाहिए। और इसलिए हमने तय किया है प्रधानमंत्री कृषि सिंचाई योजना। हम किसान को बिजली देना चाहते हैं। हमने संकल्प किया है 5 साल के भीतर भीतर 24 घंटे किसान को बिजली क्यों न मिले। और भाइयों बहनों, आज मैं गर्व से कहता हूं, पिछले 30 साल में, पिछले साल ध्यान से सुनिए, पिछले 30 साल में जितनी बिजली का उत्पादन नहीं होता था, आज उतना बिजली का उत्पादन करने में हम सफल हुए।
Okay, that's the Prime Minister, and now let's welcome in Shireen on the show. She's joining in a couple of minutes late. That's because she's been at a very special event that is facilitating the 30 most influential women leaders in India, and our very own Shireen Bhan is among them. Congratulations, Shireen.
Well, thank you very much, Surbhi. I'm embarrassed, but yes, it was a fun evening to actually swap stories with 30 other women who've made careers for themselves, and I hope it encourages other women to exercise their options. So that's what this was really about. But let's get back to the top story of the day. You had the Prime Minister there articulating the achievements of his government, but 1 year after it came to power, the Modi government continues to enjoy very high approval ratings, and that is the crucial finding of a Network 18 opinion poll. The survey was conducted among 20,000 people across 23 states and 155 districts. 70% of the respondents were from rural India, 30% from urban India. And here are the crucial findings. An overwhelming 72% is satisfied with the government's performance, and only 26% are not satisfied. How effective is Narendra Modi as Prime Minister? 56% say that the Prime Minister is fast and effective. Only 13% say he's less work and more talk. 15% say Modi is slow and ineffective, and 6% believe he's not a good administrator. But what about the state of the economy? 61% feel their economic condition has actually improved over the last 1 year. 63% believe India's economic situation has gotten better. 55% say corruption has come down, or at least it hasn't gone up. 47% say inflation is either down or has remained the same, and 62% believe jobs have either gone up or remained the same. Those are some of the crucial findings of the Modi government's ratings as far as the people go. But government does enjoy the people's confidence, but on one issue it is on the back foot, and that is the changes to the Land Acquisition Act. 35% of the respondents do not support the Modi government's changes to the bill, but another 35% remain undecided, and that should provide some solace to the government. Only 28% support the government's changes to the land bill. What about new initiatives launched by the government? An overwhelming 85% say that the Swachh Bharat initiative is the best initiative. 76% endorse the Jan Dhan Yojana, 43% support the Make in India drive, and 42% support the Digital India mission. There is a sizable support for the Mudra Bank and the Smart City mission as well. And finally, How effective is the government's communication? 30% say Modi's radio address, Man Ki Baat, is the most effective. 23% say the Prime Minister reaches out better via television. And 20% say social media is effective. 17% say public rallies are better to get the message out. And I understand the BJP is going to be holding about 200 of them over the next few days. And only 4% believe that the Prime Minister reaches out effectively through interventions in Parliament. So those are some of the findings of the Network 18 poll. But here's the other side of the story. The government has given itself top marks for its first-year performance, but a survey by the National Council for Applied Economic Research, or the NCAER, says business confidence has actually fallen sharply in the fourth quarter of FY15. The decline has been across the board, with the services sector showing the largest fall of 13.6%. Arvind Kumar with the details.
The Narendra Modi government believes it has done quite a bit to improve the ease of doing business in India over the last 1 year. Measures that it is confident will help stoke investor sentiment and revive interest in India. But industry is not quite convinced. A business expectation survey conducted by the National Council of Applied Economic Research, or NCAER, says business confidence has fallen sharply in the fourth quarter of FY15. In this quarter, the NCAER's business confidence index has fallen 6.9% from levels seen in the previous quarter. The decline has been pretty much across the board, with the services sector showing the largest fall of 13.6%. Confidence in the capital goods sector is down 13.1%. The silver lining is in the consumer durable space, where confidence has inched higher by a marginal 0.8%. Incidentally, this sector displays the highest business confidence. Breaking down the responses in terms of firm size also points to gloomy sentiment. The BCI of the 100 to 500 crore rupee firms declined the maximum, 9.2%, followed by the BCI of firms less than 1 crore rupees, which fell 8.6%. The only group to show a marginal increase in BCI is the firms falling in the 10 to 100 crore rupee category. This was up 0.4%. The report says that most firms are not convinced on two counts. A, that overall economic conditions will be better in the next 6 months, and B, the present investment climate is positive. Sentiment regarding sales and exports going forward was subdued as well, with larger firms not expecting an increase in either. But what's more worrying is that sentiment regarding production was downright discouraging. Going by the results of this survey, the government will need to move quickly on stimulating the economy. In Mumbai, Arvind Kumar.
Okay, so that's the government's report card as put forward by the research agency. But the Modi government is unable to read the worrying signs that are surrounding the economy. That's the word coming in from former Finance Minister P. Chidambaram. In an exclusive interview with Network 18's Pallavi Ghosh, Chidambaram issued a point-by-point rebuttal to Finance Minister Arun Jaitley's one-year report card. Chidambaram said that the government has failed to revive the economy over the last 1 year. He also rejected the argument that the Congress is obstructing crucial legislation in Parliament.
People who say we are fully supportive of Mr. Modi, very good, has come down.
So,
The
honeymoon period certainly does get over.
No, wait a minute. We're not talking about honeymoon. Overall, whichever survey, I've got surveys with me, you can cite whichever survey you want. In every survey, the number has come down. I'm not surprised, because you can't maintain that same level of support after 1 year. But the fact is, Modi 2015 has less support than Modi 2014. In 2014, he had 31% vote. Are you seriously suggesting that if an election is held today, they will get 31% vote?
They are no longer a member of parliament. But the point is, looking at the Congress party, I remember how much you fought to push for the GST. You fought for several other bills. Today, the Congress party comes across as a party which just wants to oppose for the sake of opposing. Because they want to reinvent themselves, they want to make their presence felt.
Again,
I mean, why this opposition to GST?
Again, your facts are wrong. I'll tell you. Who opposed the insurance bill? I made so many pilgrimages, and I use the word advisedly, pilgrimages to Ms. Sushma Swaraj's chamber in Parliament with Mr. Arun Jaitley present and Mr. Yashwant Sinha present on one occasion. I implored them, let's pass the insurance bill. They dodged me, ducked the issue for 5 sessions. And finally they told me, we have no appetite to pass any more bill. Who obstructed it for 5 sessions of Parliament? Take GST. Who obstructed GST? The Finance Minister of Gujarat and the Finance Minister of Madhya Pradesh. One of them I knew rather well. And he privately did tell me, brother, these are orders. We have to oppose this GST. Both were finance ministers of BJP governments. Today we are not obstructing the GST.
You find it ironical that today they're pushing for GST
Wait a
and they're
minute.
asking the Congress...
It's not ironical. It's come to the real world. The real world requires a GST. You were living in a make-believe world that you could scuttle GST. Now when you're in office, you realize that GST is inevitable. All right. Now let's take GST. Are we obstructing? They have moved, I'm told, 8 amendments to the bill that we introduced. Parliament, elected members of Parliament, think that a standing committee must look at these 8 amendments, and they have asked for 2 months to do that. Just 2 months. The report will come back in the monsoon session, sometime in July end or early August. So if elected members of Parliament want 2 months to look at 8 amendments to a very, very important constitution amendment bill that will change the entire taxation structure of this country, is that not legitimate? We are not obstructing the GST. We have made it absolutely clear. Let the standing committee examine these 8 amendments, let it give its report, and we will support the GST.
Well, that's the former Finance Minister P. Chidambaram with his report card of the NDA government and clearly rebutting the points being made by the Prime Minister and the Finance Minister, Mr. Chidambaram, saying that things are not all well for the economy. Now, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley is confident of meeting the government's tax targets. CNBC TV 18 reported on Friday that the centre has a fiscal cushion of about 45,000 crore rupees this year. But instead of lowering the deficit further, the Finance Minister will stick to the 3.9% target for next year and use the additional resources to expand economic activity. The Finance Ministry has also begun work on weeding out exemptions that have outlived their utility, and a strategy paper is expected to be circulated for comments in a while. Sapna Das has more. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley spent the morning pitching his government strategy on tax to senior tax officials from across the country. The Finance Minister reiterated the government is keen that overall direct tax rates must come down in the economy, especially for the middle-class income tax payers, numbered at over 3 crore. With direct tax collection likely to grow between 13 to 14% on a better GDP base this year, the Finance Minister says personal income tax payers need to be encouraged with exemptions.
If the base increases, if the collections increase, and those who have to pay taxation are compelled to pay it, the ability of the government to spend and also then concessions in terms of rates to the honest taxpayers also improves.
India's direct tax base has expanded to 5.12 crore at the end of the last fiscal, and there are 6 lakh employers paying 10 lakh crores in direct taxes on an average. The Finance Minister hopes this will translate into a higher tax to GDP ratio, but has cautioned the department against adversarial and intrusive expansion.
Evasion has to be checked. The parallel economy has to be squeezed. And yet it has to be done in a very fair manner, not in a harsh manner.
The minister is also sticking to the 3.9% fiscal deficit target for this year instead of trying to lower it further. The government has improved upon its fiscal deficit target of 4.1% to 4% last fiscal due to a better-than-expected revenue collection. Jaitley says this year he will prefer to use the revenue buoyancy to push growth instead.
Even if there are larger collections, we'd like to see those being invested in areas of infrastructure, in areas of irrigation, in the social sectors, so that is able to bring larger dividends back to the economy.
The Finance Ministry will also prepare a strategy paper on gradually phasing out exemptions and begin the process of lowering corporate tax rates in the next budget. Revenue Secretary Shaktikanta Das says although the strategy paper will not be open for public comments, the government will make its policy public before any decision is taken in the next budget. In New Delhi with Sapna Das, this is Shireen Bhan. And at the same event, Finance Minister Jaitley defended the black money bill. He said that if you're an honest taxpayer, then you have nothing to worry about.
The black money law, which has been cleared by Parliament, no honest taxpayer has anything to fear. It's targeted only against those who have stacked assets abroad. The department would be coming out with its policy that even they are being given a compliance window on the new taxation which has been imposed on those assets outside.
All right. Meanwhile, the high-level committee on direct tax matters headed by Justice A.P. Shah met in the capital for the first time on Monday after its constitution was announced by the Central Board of Direct Taxes last week. The three-member committee comprising of Dr. Ashok Lahiri and Dr. Girish Ahuja deliberated on the terms of reference for the panel and how the committee plans its deliberations on the MAT or the minimum alternate tax issue in the forthcoming weeks. Now, although there's no official timeline for the A.P. Shah panel to submit its report on MAT, Finance Ministry officials are of the view that the committee could give its report in the next 4 to 6 weeks. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley on the 7th of May announced the setting up of the Shah panel to expeditiously look into the FII MAT issue, while other matters will also be referred to the committee in due course of time. The committee has been given a 1-year tenure unless the government decides otherwise.
A very critical component of the policy measure announced is the reduction in the corporate tax from 30% to 25%, to be accompanied by a phased reduction or a phased elimination of all exemptions. The CBDT is working out on a strategy paper for elimination of exemptions. Personal income tax, what is very important is taxpayer satisfaction. When we talk of non-adversarial tax administration, we should not forget, in fact, high on our priority should be the satisfaction of the personal, the individual taxpayers, the salaried employees and the ordinary taxpayers, the small taxpayers.
Government's actions on transfer pricing and tax are right. They've onboarded the High Court's views and have followed through with the High Court ruling, not contesting it in the Supreme Court. So that's positive. The crib, if you look at some of the analysis in terms of usually surveys that have been done either by the press or even by our chamber, there's still disappointment on the tax front in terms of the way that is being dealt with.
Well, that's Nainal Al-Kidwai talking about the one disappointment which has come through pretty much every single survey done on the one-year performance of the government, and that has to do with the inability to have addressed the tax issue and even the retrospective tax issue. Battling multiple tax cases in India, Vodafone put its plans to list its India business on the back burner, but now sources say the company may have revived its plans to look at Dalal Street. In fact, Vodafone is eyeing an enterprise valuation of a whopping $30 billion. Kritika Saxena has been tracking that story, joins us now with more details. Kritika, how much is Vodafone looking to raise?
Well, Shireen, it's as big as it can get, and which is perhaps why it's been delayed for multiple instances. So in terms of valuation, as you said, $30 billion is the enterprise value. This, remember, includes the $11 billion debt that Vodafone India currently has in its balance sheet. Aside from that, the amount that they're looking at raising, must also say, is between $3 to $4 billion. Now, in terms of where the discussions have reached, they have appointed NM Rothschild, which is the global investment banking firm, and had also, in fact, been appointed in 2012 when the IPO had taken a backseat. What we understand is that Rothschild is expected to submit a detailed advisory report by August 2015. The report will contain not just the contours of the deal, but also the advice on the price discovery strategy, the kind of roadshow that they need to go ahead with, the valuation, and eventually in time even they will also be responsible for appointing investment bankers or book runners for the IPO. The timeline will be decided after August 2015, Shireen and Surbi, as to when exactly they look at it. FY16 end is what they hope for, yes, but it will also depend upon the market condition at that particular point in time, the liquidity that is there in the market, because as you can imagine, $3 to $4 billion would be way too fat. In terms of official comments, though, we didn't get a comment from Rothschild, but Vodafone PLC said that they did not want to comment on speculations, but the IPO is something that they will explore in the future.
Well, absolutely. The IPO is something they will consider in the future. Now, the question is the future 6 months away? Is the future 12 months away, or even after that? Kritika, appreciate you joining us with those details. Now, the economy is poised to grow quickly and in a steady manner. That's the word coming in from the Executive Vice Chairman of Kotak Mahindra Bank, Uday Kotak. In a conversation with CNBC's Oriel Morrison, Kotak says the evolution in technology can change the face of financial services in India. He believes the Modi government and the Reserve Bank are doing a good job. Oriel began by asking Mr. Kotak about the opportunities available for India in the global banking pecking order.
We believe that the India opportunity around concentrated India, diversified financial services is a huge opportunity over the next 10-20 years. I am a believer that the Indian economy is going to grow at a quick pace, steadily, like a marathon. And if we as a financial service institution focus on being a marathon runner in this economy, We have great opportunity to build scale and size and quality. Technology is going to change financial services, already changing it. So I am excited but very challenged. I keep wondering at night, will I have a bank next morning, or some technology company will be doing banking without needing a bank? The future is mobile. How branches behave for the future is a question in my mind. In the Indian context, as long as there is cash handling in the economy, branches will have a role. But savers are moving much faster onto digital than coming into branches any longer.
Who do you like as a technology company, as a potential partner for Kotak Mahindra in this new world that you're talking about?
As a bank, we'll have to test, experiment, try 100 different things. Few may work, few may fail. But unless we experiment and try different things, learn from what some other banks are doing. And it's no harm being a copycat. If somebody else is doing a good job, copy it. It's free.
Do you believe in the Modi government and the changes they're trying to enact?
The government is making a lot of positive changes, which are certainly good for the economy long term. I think the financial sector focus is increase in financial savings and financial inclusion. And in a country of 1.2 billion people, it's a huge opportunity to add bank accounts, financial transactions, online, digital.
What about the RBI then? Does the same stand for the central bank? Are they doing enough?
I think RBI is doing a lot. It's moving in tandem. It's encouraging different forms of banks. It's just announced new guidelines on which people have applied for payment banks, for small banks, different kinds of models, because financial services is in a big churning pot. And the future is extremely exciting, but we will really have to be ahead of the curve.
Okay, so Uday Kota getting sleepless nights, wondering if technology will indeed take over the whole role of banking. Well, another Indian corporate leader who is really quite excited about the entrepreneurial spirit in the country is Godrej Group Chairman Adi Godrej. He believes that the government's push to improve the ease of doing business will help people become job givers rather than job seekers. He was also speaking to Oriel Morrison of CNBC, who started off by asking him about his take on the current business environment in India.
I think entrepreneurship is a great opportunity in India right now. India is on a strong growth path, and entrepreneurs usually flourish when the country they are in is on a strong growth path. There are many, many new things to be done in this country, many, many new ideas to be implemented, many, many new ways to do it. We have some very well-educated youth, so I would like to suggest that become a job giver rather than a job seeker.
What is the first thing that the government needs to do, in your view?
Well, improve the ease of doing business. We are a free enterprise country, but a lot of restrictions have been brought in terms of ease of doing business over the years, and that needs to be cleared up. We must make entrepreneurs feel that they can work easily, work freely, without the tax man sitting on their back, without bureaucrats holding things up. And I think this government has clearly defined its intention to do that.
Well, India Inc.'s expectations from the Modi government in year 2. But on that note, it's time for us to wrap up this edition of India Business Hour. There is plenty more to talk about. The one-year blitzkrieg of the government continues. There will be many more ministers talking about their achievements for the year that's gone by. And of course, we'll pick up on all the market action. It continues to be extremely volatile. From all of us here, goodbye. Many thanks for watching.